Have you ever wondered what actually happens in the dark when you finally close the door? When you stop returning the texts, stop feeding the drama, and just choose yourself. The sudden silence you create is deafening to them. But behind that quiet, a predictable, frantic routine begins. Today, we uncover exactly what they do every day after you ignore them. It is not a peaceful quiet. For you, going no contact is a desperate attempt to find peace and breathe again. But for them, your absence is a terrifying alarm bell ringing in an empty room. They cannot process your boundary as a healthy choice. To the narcissistic mind, your silence is not a boundary at all. It is a profound, unforgivable declaration of war. You might be sitting there wondering if they miss you, wondering if the space you provided gave them a moment of clarity or regret. Let me be the one to tell you the hard truth. They do not miss the human being that you are. They miss the emotional currency you provided. And the moment that currency stops flowing, their entire psychological ecosystem panics. Imagine pulling the plug on a machine that has been running perfectly for years. That is what your attention was to them. A power source. Day one of your silence feels like a glitch. They assume you are just throwing a tantrum, waiting to be coaxed back into the game. They smirk, thinking they know exactly how to break your resolve. They always have before. But then day 2 hits. And day 3. The texts go unread. The calls go straight to voicemail. That smirk slowly fades, replaced by a creeping, unbearable anxiety. The narcissist relies on your reactions to know they exist. Without your anger, your tears, or your love, they are left staring into a void. And there is nothing a narcissist fears more than the void. This is when the daily routine begins. They wake up, and their first thought is not about how they hurt you. Their very first thought is about how to regain control of the narrative. They will obsessively check your social media. They are hunting for clues, looking for any sign that you are miserable without them. They need to see you suffering to feel safe. If you are posting happy pictures, it feels like a physical blow to their ego. How dare you exist, let alone thrive, without their permission? This triggers the first daily phase, frantic rationalization. They will spin a story in their head where they are the ultimate victim. You are the cold, heartless one who abandoned them. They have to believe this lie. They spend their mornings gathering invisible evidence against you. Every memory is twisted and distorted until you become the villain. It is a necessary delusion. If they admit that your silence is a result of their own toxic behavior, their fragile false self would shatter completely. So, they project all their own shame and guilt directly onto your silence. It is exhausting just thinking about it, isn't it? The sheer amount of mental energy they spend trying to rewrite reality. But this is their survival mechanism. They cannot look inward, so they must look outward, searching for a way to provoke you. Because a negative reaction from you is still a reaction. It is still a lifeline proving they have power over you. You have effectively starved them, and now they are pacing the cage. They are testing the bars, looking for a weak spot. This sets the stage for the rest of their day. They are not reflecting, they are not growing, and they are certainly not changing. They are strategizing. The silence is deafening, and they will do whatever it takes to make noise again. Let us break down what happens when the afternoon hits. The rationalization phase fades, and the desperation phase begins. You have to understand, they do not have an internal sense of self-worth. They rely entirely on external validation to feel real. By ignoring them, you have cut off their primary oxygen supply. They are suffocating and they know it. This is when the stalking behaviors usually escalate. They might create fake profiles just to watch your stories anonymously. They will analyze the background of your photos, looking for signs of a new partner. It is an obsession fueled by intense paranoia. They are terrified that someone else is getting the premium attention that rightfully belongs to them. Why do they care so much if they treated you so badly? It is the ultimate paradox of the narcissistic mind. They devalue you when you are there, but they cannot survive when you are gone. You were an appliance to them. A very reliable appliance that suddenly stopped working. They are not grieving a lost love. They are raging over a broken possession. Their internal monologue becomes a chaotic loop of grandiosity and intense shame. One minute, they tell themselves they are superior and you are entirely replaceable. The next minute, your continued silence triggers a deep, primal wound of abandonment. They cannot tolerate this emotional whiplash. The cognitive dissonance is incredibly painful for them to endure. To cope, they start recruiting. This is the time of day when they reach out to the flying monkeys. They will casually drop your name in conversations, testing the waters. They play the role of the concerned ex or the baffled friend. I just don't know what happened, they will say, sighing heavily. They are planting seeds of doubt in everyone else's mind. They are carefully constructing a smear campaign, piece by piece. It is a preemptive strike. If they can convince the world that you are crazy, unstable, or cruel, then your silence is invalidated. Your boundary is painted as an act of malicious aggression. They need the audience to validate their victimhood. If others agree, the narcissist feels safe again. But deep down, beneath the lies and the manipulations, the anxiety is still burning. Because no matter how many people they convince, they still cannot force you to respond. You remain the one puzzle they cannot solve. The one door they cannot kick down. This lack of control is terrifying. It reminds them of how deeply powerless they actually are inside. They might try sending a Hoover text. Something incredibly mundane, like asking about a forgotten sweater, or something dramatic, like a vague medical emergency. They do not actually care about the sweater. They do not need your help. They are throwing a fishing line into the dark water, just waiting to see if you will bite. Any bite will do for them. If you stay silent, the Hoover fails, and the psychological injury deepens. They stare at the screen, furious that their magic tricks no longer work on you. The charm is broken. You have seen behind the curtain, and they know it. That realization is a heavy, dark cloud that hangs over them. They are being forced to sit alone with their own toxicity. And they hate you for it. They hate you for making them feel this way. They will never acknowledge that their own actions drove you away. In their warped reality, you are the abuser for abandoning them. As the day turns into evening, their desperation morphs into a cold, vindictive rage. The stage is set for the inevitable emotional collapse to come. Nighttime is when the psychological walls truly begin to thin. The distractions of the day are gone. The flying monkeys have gone to sleep. There is no one left to perform for. It is just the narcissist, the silence, and the haunting reality of your absence. This is the turning point where the mask begins to slip, and the internal chaos spills completely over. The vindictive rage they felt earlier turns into a frantic need for supply. If they cannot get it from you, they will urgently seek it elsewhere. They will scroll through old contacts, swiping on dating apps with a desperate, hollow intensity. They need a quick fix to patch the gaping hole your silence has left in their ego. It is entirely mechanical. They might find someone new. A new target to mirror, a new source to drain. And they will make sure you know about it. They will post the picture, tag the location, and orchestrate the ultimate digital performance. But do not be fooled by the smiles in those photos. It is not happiness. It is a highly choreographed message aimed directly at your silence. They are screaming into the void, "Look at me. Look how easily I replaced you." But healthy people do not need to prove they have moved on. Only those who are deeply wounded and utterly obsessed spend this much energy trying to look unbothered. The new supply is just a pawn. A human shield used to protect them from the devastating reality of your rejection. If the new supply fails to soothe their ego, or if they cannot find anyone quickly, the panic sets in again. They might turn to destructive habits to numb the pain. Alcohol, spending sprees, reckless behavior, anything to distract from the quiet. They are running from a monster, but the monster is their own reflection. And they can never run fast enough. Have you noticed how exhausting their existence sounds? It is a perpetual state of hypervigilance and emotional starvation. While you are using the silence to heal, to breathe, to find yourself again, they are using it to wage an invisible war. They are fighting a ghost. And the harder they fight, the more obvious it becomes that they have already lost. Sometimes, they will sit in the dark and obsessively reread your old messages. Not with love, but with a forensic eye. They are searching for the exact moment they lost control. They cannot comprehend that it was 1,000 little cuts that ended the relationship. They believe there must be a specific trick they missed. A glitch in their manipulation. This obsessive rumination keeps them awake. They replay the final arguments, always rewriting the ending where they come out victorious. It is a pathetic, deeply sad cycle of self-deception. They are prisoners of their own false narrative. And as long as you stay silent, you refuse to be the warden of their emotional prison. You have dropped the keys entirely. Your silence is the ultimate mirror. Without your reactions to distort the reflection, they are forced to catch glimpses of who they really are. A fragile, empty shell terrified of being exposed. They fight this realization with every ounce of energy they possess. It is a brutal, internal war that happens every single night after you finally walk away. As the night drags on, the exhaustion finally overtakes the rage. They collapse into sleep, only to wake up and repeat the exact same frantic cycle the very next day. Nothing is resolved. No closure is reached. Because closure requires accountability, and accountability is the one thing a narcissist can never afford to embrace. The cycle is their doom. Weeks turn into months, and your silence remains unbroken. This is when the true collapse begins. The daily routines of stalking, smearing, and seeking new supplies start to lose their effectiveness. The frantic energy burns out, leaving behind a profound, dark emptiness. The narcissist hits a wall. The realization that you are truly gone finally takes root. They experience something known as a narcissistic injury, but on a massive scale. It is not just a bruise to the ego, it is a full systemic failure. They become deeply bitter, cynical, and openly hostile to those around them. The mask they wear for the world starts to crack. People around them begin to notice the sudden flashes of unprovoked anger and spite. Their new relationships, built on the unstable ground of your absence, begin to crumble. They are too depleted to keep up the charm. The new supply starts seeing the exact same toxic traits you finally walked away from. And as these new bridges burn, the narcissist is thrown right back into the void. But this time, they are weaker. They are deeply exposed. They might try one last, desperate grand hoover. An emotional display so dramatic it feels pulled from a movie script. Tears, apologies, promises of therapy and profound change. It will look incredibly real. It will sound exactly like everything you ever wanted to hear. But it is just a survival tactic. A starving predator mimicking the sounds of safety. If you see this happen, you must remember the silent weeks before it. You must remember the smear campaigns, the stalking, the quiet rage. This sudden epiphany is not born of love or genuine remorse. It is born of absolute starvation. They are not sorry they hurt you, they are sorry they lost their favorite toy. It is a performance designed to trap you. When you ignore this final attempt, the collapse is complete. They retreat into a dark, paranoid isolation. The narrative they spun about being the victim becomes their permanent reality. They convince themselves that the entire world is against them, that they are a tragic figure misunderstood by everyone. It is a bleak, miserable place for them to exist. They will forever cast you as the ultimate villain in their life story. But ironically, in doing so, they grant you immense power in their minds. You become the one who got away, the one who saw through the illusion and survived. They will never stop thinking about the fact that you beat them at their own game. Not by fighting, but by simply walking out. This is the consequence of their own pathology. They push away the very people who try the hardest to love them, and then they starve in the isolation they created. You did not cause this collapse. You merely stopped preventing it. By removing your energy, you allowed gravity to take over. The structure was always going to fall, you just stepped aside. It is a heavy thing to realize that someone you cared for is living in such darkness. But you must understand that this darkness is their natural habitat. You could not save them. You were only ever setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. Now you are safe, and they are left exactly where they belong, alone with the consequences of their own actions. The daily routine of the narcissist without you is a tragedy, but it is not your tragedy to fix. Their panic, their rage, their desperate scrambling, it is all confirmation that you made the exact right choice. Your silence was the loudest, most powerful boundary you could have ever set. And it worked. The collapse proves that they never had real power. Now, let us bring the focus back to where it truly belongs. While they are spinning in their chaotic cycle of stalking and smearing, you are doing something remarkable. You are breaking a trauma bond. Every day you maintain no contact, you are rewiring your nervous system. You are teaching your body that it is finally safe to exhale and to rest. The silence you created was terrifying at first. It felt wrong, like you were abandoning someone in need. But now you see the truth. You are rescuing yourself from a burning building. You are not cold, you are not heartless, and you are certainly not to blame. You are a survivor who finally realized your own profound worth. You woke up from the spell. You might still have days where the guilt creeps in. Days where you wonder if you were too harsh. When those moments come, I want you to remember their daily routine. Remember the frantic need for control, the smear campaigns, the absolute refusal to look inward. They did not want your love, they wanted your compliance. Do not feel guilty for escaping. Your energy is a precious, finite resource. For months, maybe years, you poured it into a bottomless pit. You tried to heal wounds that were not yours to heal. But the moment you stopped, the moment you reclaimed that energy, your real life began. You can now pour that intense, beautiful empathy back into yourself. You deserve the love you gave away. The narcissist's reaction to your silence is the absolute proof that you were right to leave. Healthy people respect boundaries. Healthy people reflect, apologize, and give you space. Toxic people panic, manipulate, and try to punish you for protecting yourself. Their frantic behavior is the universe confirming that you dodged a massive, destructive bullet. So let them stalk your social media. Let them spin their lies to the flying monkeys. Let them search frantically for a new supply to patch their broken egos. None of it touches you anymore. You are living in reality, while they are trapped in a delusional loop of their own making. You have stepped out of the ring, and the fight is officially over now. Healing is not a straight line, and there will be quiet nights where the trauma echoes in your mind. But every morning you wake up and choose not to respond, you are winning. You are taking your power back, piece by piece. The fog is lifting, and for the first time in a long time, you can see the horizon clearly. The future is entirely yours to build. You have survived the psychological war, and you have come out the other side with a wisdom that cannot be bought. You know what red flags look like. You know the value of your own peace. You will never again allow someone to treat you like an emotional appliance. You are rebuilding your life on a foundation of fierce self-respect and profound truth. The door is closed, and it is going to stay closed. Let them pace in the dark outside. Let them wonder what you are doing. You are too busy thriving to care about their desperate routines. The greatest revenge is not anger, it is not exposing them, and it is not a dramatic confrontation. The greatest revenge is simply moving on and being genuinely happy. You are no longer supply. You are a completely sovereign human being. Stay silent, stay strong, and protect your peace at all costs. Their daily routine of panic is just the sound of chains breaking. You do not owe them an explanation, and you never owe them your light again. The moment you stop looking back is the exact moment you finally become free.